We acknowledge the presence of Maulik Hathi and Dr. Harsha Hathi, who are there in this particular meeting. So, Dr. Sushma, I request you, she's the president of BPNI Maharashtra. We request you to start this meeting to pay tribute to our departed leader, who was so near and dear.
Okay, thank you, Prashant. Good morning, seniors, colleagues, and friends. Today we meet to honor a legendary soul, Dr. Gajendra Hathi, sir, a person that who all of us have seen in action, a person who has impacted all our lives and institutions that we have been associated with. It is indeed ironic that exactly a month ago, he was honored with the Lifetime Achievement Award by the Indian Academy of Pediatrics, Mumbai branch. Yes, it was 8th of March 2023 that IAP conferred this unique distinction on Dr. Hathi for his enormous contributions to the development of not only pediatrics, but a host of other fields in the community, including breastfeeding. He started his humble beginnings from Jamnagar, where he did his MBBS, and going on to do MD Pediatrics at TNMC BYL Nair Hospital in Mumbai as early as 1969. Then his great innings as a professor and head at Cooper Hospital for 17 years, and leading on to become one of the most respected and senior pediatricians over the last 5 decades. He had to his credit several awards, several publications in national and international journals, has been a guest speaker in various conferences, and has authored a book on IAP textbook for UGs and PGs, as well as pediatric book of IAP. The Lifetime Achievement Award to Sir is a true reflection of the life well lived, a life in which Dr. Hathi has made humongous contributions in all fields that he's been associated with, and especially with breastfeeding promotion and support in Mumbai as well as all over Maharashtra. He has in fact taken more than 100 workshops personally for this noble cause of breastfeeding promotion and support from the early 1990s. Dr. Hathi was not only a very well-known pediatrician of the city, but a remarkable human being, known for his simplicity and his humility and ability to touch, the lives with the humor to everything that he did. I personally had the privilege of being trained in IYCF and breastfeeding, and also following his work at TN Medical College. I still remember the ease with which he would always volunteer to become the lactating mother with no qualms at all, and we thoroughly enjoyed ourselves. Everybody will remember his beautiful smile and the beautiful twinkle in his eyes. He was so approachable, irrespective of hierarchy and seniority. And I think most of us have had the opportunity of gaining wisdom and insights from him. Besides, Sir, being a remarkable teacher, he was an astute clinician. He was students' delight, and most importantly, a wonderful human being. And this was reflected in his flourishing practice. Like all pioneers, Sir was an institution builder and was one amongst our founding member for BPNI Maharashtra. And he's left a huge legacy behind for BPNI Maharashtra. He was also instrumental in forming the IAP Mumbai branch when he started with only 15 members. On this day, we should rededicate ourselves to taking forward his legacy and living up to his high ideals. Thank you very much. Om Shanti. I hand over now the proceedings to Dr. Prashant and Dr. Sangeeta. Please unmute Prashant.
Before we turn to further proceedings, I think it will be in line that we remember Dr. Hathi through images. So I will share my presentation. Luckily, we have all the photographs from the time I joined the movement in 1990. And we have taken selected photographs from them. A person who had, I'll just share the screen first. Ditya, if I'm not able to do it, then you can share from your screen. But I'm right now having the presentation, so let's check. Are you able to see? Okay, fine.
Yes.
Make it in slideshow.
Now I'll stop sharing first because it is in a smaller form. So I'll just, yeah, okay, fine. Just give me a minute before those things settle down. Okay. Dr. Gajendra Hathi, my teacher, my mentor, and you can imagine a person who had such impact all over India. My clinic was just a stone's throw from his clinic and Dr. Kumta's clinic. So you can imagine the amount of impact these two great authorities on breastfeeding must have created on my life and my education in IYCN in general and my personality in particular. But his story or Dr. Hathi's contribution to BPNI Maharashtra is the story of BPNI Maharashtra itself. And I think through this presentation, we are not just paying tribute to Dr. Hathi, but we are also, just a minute, there's somebody's microphone is open. Please mute yourself. Please mute your microphones, please. So through this presentation, we are going to see how Dr. Hathi impacted BPNI Maharashtra. He was one of the founders along with Dr. Kumta, and how his knowledge, how his nature impacted BPNI Maharashtra over last almost 32 years. It all started in 1990 at Leslie Sony Center, Devlali. This was the first workshop held somewhere between 89 and 90. I don't have the exact date. And here, if you are able to see my pointer, you can see Dr. Kumta over here, Dr. Hathi over here, Dr. Rekha Udani also is there, and along with Felicity Savage and Helen Armstrong, and Dr. Anand here, left-hand side, sitting row, first row. So this was where the whole movement in India started. Now, this was followed by another workshop, which I had a chance to attend. Just a minute. There is somebody's microphone is open. It is causing a lot of disturbance. Please mute your microphones. Host and co-host, just try to mute the microphones of others if you find it open. So, Vidya Jadhav, your microphone is open. Please cut it off. Okay. So this was second Devlali workshop. We had chance to be helping Dr. Kumta and Dr. Hathi to organize this particular workshop. It was a 5-day workshop. It was the first time I came under influence of these great people. This was followed by the third workshop at Sevagram between 1st and 15 December 1991. There was 15 days workshop, and this is where the master trainers from all over India were trained and created. And this was where the BPNI Breastfeeding Promotion Network of India got established. And also simultaneously, the movement started for establishment of BPNI Maharashtra branch. Many things occurred between 1990 and 1996. I distinctly remember attending a workshop at Kalina for certifying many people as hospital assessors or BFHI assessors. And that was the workshop where Dr. Hathi had taken a great lead. And Dr. Bawdekar, I don't know if he has come today, he was the one who had assisted him in that particular workshop. I think Dr. Rajesh also was there to assist him at that time. And the hospitals were classified as above 1,000 deliveries, between 500 and 1,000 deliveries, and less than 500 deliveries. And I distinctly remember Dr. Hathi going almost to every maternity home in Mumbai, right up to the peripheries. And that is the time he really worked like a mad person, I would say, that to go to all these hospitals is not an easy thing for a practicing pediatrician. But yes, he did it almost single-handedly and with the help of course, his team members who were trained from Mumbai. So the movement in Mumbai started. Of course, Dr. Kumta and Dr. Hathi, they were in the northwest Mumbai. So in Malad, Kandivali, Borivali, many nursing homes came under the influence of these trainings. And it became necessary for us to call all the obstetricians and pediatricians together on one platform. And that is where in 1996, the Northwest Mumbai pediatricians came together again at Devlali. Mother support group was already functioning for almost 1 year. And to provide support to mother support group also this became necessary. I must mention over here that in the initial days of mother support and later on also, right up to 2005, whatever correspondence went from BPNI Maharashtra office for mother support group, I used to walk into clinics of Dr. Hathi and Dr. Kumta, and both of them would sign on advise me on those particular letters and make corrections, and both of them would sign these particular letters. And once they have seen the letters and they have signed, that was the final word. And I didn't have to ever bother whether I was making any mistake in the project or any mistake in drafting or any mistake in maintaining the relations that are necessary to promote an organization and to promote a project. So you can see here, as Dr. Sushma mentioned, all the acrobatics that were necessary for demonstrating breastfeeding, Dr. Hathi was a leader and we have picked it up from him. Otherwise, nobody before him had the daring to lie down and actually show these particular positions. Both of them so intently involved in this particular act. Again, in the same workshop, you can see other pediatricians in the background. Dr. Kandoth and Dr. Hathi very intently listening to the presentations. And I spoke to Dr. Kandoth 2 days back, but she's not well. She's not able to join this particular meeting. The same meeting, almost all prominent pediatricians and obstetricians are there. And it is this particular foundation which helped the mother support group to take roots in Northwest Mumbai. After about 2 years functioning of mother support group, we felt a need that we need to introduce this concept and what these mother support group leaders had done in Northwest Mumbai. And that is what, along with UNICEF, we took this meeting. Again, you can see Dr. Hathi was the master orator for our meetings, and he's conducting this particular meeting. And from here, you can see left to right, Dr. R.K. Anand, Dr. Kandoth, Dr. Rao, Dr. Hathi, Dr. Kumta, Dr. Gurnani from UNICEF, and Dr. Bevi. So we had such great support for our movement and great guidance. Again, Dr. Hathi was involved in all the implementations which are necessary. Here at Dr. Karthik Bhagat's Grace Nursing Home, you can see Dr. Hathi, who has been invited to assess Madhavi Ben, who is the second mother support group leader. She's getting assessed as a mother support group leader, that how she takes antenatal assessment. We also had Rotary Club of Goregaon West involved in this particular project. So we felt it necessary, it was necessary to felicitate the mother support group leaders and their family members. So here, for a change, Dr. Hathi is on the other side of the dais. And here, Dr. Hathi and Mrs. Hathi was our mother support leader. And here, she is being felicitated along with the spouse, Dr. Hathi. So for a change, he was on the other side. And many workshops occurred in this particular period from 1990 to 1997 and 2000. Here, we are at Amravati. And where Dr. Hathi involved in the role play along with Vaishali, who was our mother support group leader. You can see Dr. Alka Kute in the background. Dr. Mukund Patel also is there. Again, one more acrobatic at Thane IIP branch, where Sangeeta Ben is having a role play and assisting Dr. Hathi for demonstrating positions. Our next major project was Maleshwari Bai project, or traditional massage woman project. And it was the first meeting with about 100 Malishwali Mausis, and we thought of nobody else than Dr. Hathi to come and talk to all of them and to get them involved in the project. So here you can see various pictures of Dr. Hathi involved in this particular talk, showing expression of breast milk, telling how bottle feeding is bad, and ultimately giving autographs and solving their difficulties. This was a phase where we assessed all these Malishwari Maushi, and for where the experts were called in. Here you can see Dr. Paralkar. This is at Dr. Paralkar's nursing home, and all our maternity homes became the centers for Malishwari by training. Dr. Hathi, Dr. Mascarenhas, who was also involved in this particular project. Then we had a certification function for Malishwari Mausis. And this particular place that we inaugurated our childcare book for the first time, we unveiled it. And it was released on this particular way at the hands of Dr. Hathi. Dr. Felicity Savage came to Devlali again in 2003. And here there was a 15 days workshop. And here again you can see the stalwarts, Dr. Kumta, Dr. Felicity Savage, Dr. Hathi. Here again you can see his involvement. He has got a doll in his hands, and Mrs. Hathi and Dr. Hathi is having a doll in their hands. So you can see the involvement and commitment to the cause. This was 2003. 15 days counseling course. Other mother support group leaders and faculty also are there. 2003, same year, we had gone to Delhi for the first global forum, which was held at Delhi. And once Dr. Hathi was with us on the conference, it was always we always used to keep us laughing all the time by his jokes, anecdotes, and very happy group, as you can see from over here. We had various functions, not just held by Rotary, but by other organizations also. And here's a Rotary program in 2003. From left to right, you can see Dr. Devang Shah, myself, Dr. Vora, who we miss so dearly, Dr. Pawan Sureka, Dr. Charu, Dr. Vidya Kulkarni, and again Dr. Hathi, who conducted this particular program. 2010, then of course our many other workshops started all over the state, and Dr. Hathi kept on providing his guidance along with Dr. Kumta to our movement. It was in 2010 we had a BPNI get together because first two batches of IBCLC were completed at that particular time. And here you can see him felicitating Mr. Turkar from the government, who was a great support for us. So right from 1990 to 2005, 2010, even now, he would keep on providing us support. I was very lucky to meet him just 4 days before he was no more with us. And I entered his clinic, and I spoke to him for about 5 minutes, and I told him that I will come back again to meet you at leisure when I will be able to tell you about all our activities currently. I used to meet him quite a few times at Goregaon Sports Club, and where he used to ask me what is the current situation in BPNI Maharashtra and how are we progressing. So he was so keenly interested in what is going on, and we would keep both Dr. Kumta and Dr. Hathi updated about these particular things. Unfortunately, I never got a chance to meet him again at leisure. In his clinic, I thought that I should have his good photographs. So I went to his clinic specifically and had his photograph. I would specifically like to mention about both of them, Dr. Kumta as well as Dr. Hathi, that whenever I used to take any document over there, irrespective of number of patients in the waiting room, they would not keep me waiting. Call me in, look at the document, spending 5 to 10 minutes advising what the changes are required. And that was their specific nature that I liked very much. 2016, he was a chief guest at this World Breastfeeding Week. You can see Dr. Ruchi Nanavati and Dr. Sushma Malik. And here's the lamp lighting by Dr. Anand. Again, a great photograph. Dr. Anand, Dr. Hathi, and Mrs. Anand, and Dr. Armida Fernandez also. And here he is giving Dr. B Kumta Award to Dipti. So he was the chief guest at that function in Cooper Hospital. So this was the involvement over the years. And we would greatly miss Dr. Hathi for his guidance and for all his role plays and whatever talks we had with him. So these are the collection of photographs. We have some dignitaries whom we are invited to share their memories with Dr. Hathi. So I will hand over the mic to stop sharing and hand over the mic to Dr. Sangeeta Jadhav, who is Secretary of BPNI Maharashtra, to continue further proceedings along with me. Thank you. Dr. Sangeeta?
Family. Yeah. So I will, now I request Dr. B Kumta and Mrs. Kumta to express their feelings towards Dr. Hathi and family. And it is possible that Dr. Kumta might not speak because of the health issues, and Mrs. Kumta will speak on his behalf.
I've been trying to admit them in, but somehow they are not getting connected. Prashant, maybe you can give them a call and just help out.
Dipti, can you place a call to him? In the meantime, Dr. R.D. Poddar has joined us.
They have joined.
They have joined.
They have joined? Okay, very good.
Fine.
This NNK iPhone is Dr. Kumta.
NNK iPhone is the.
What icon?
NNK iPhone.
NNK. Okay. Dr. Mrs. Kumta, are you there?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Can you put your video on also? There is a left-hand corner. There is a sign of video.
Down.
Video?
Just tell them it is down.
Down on the left side. If you take your cursor down, you will see it only the cursor is taken down to the left lower corner, and you you can see the video here. Okay, fine, great. Okay. We are very happy that in spite of their health restrictions, both of them have joined us. And I'm sure Dr. Kumta must be missing Dr. Hathi greatly. Both of them practicing almost on the opposite sides of the SV road. Both of them had such great synchronization that we often wondered that how two pediatricians working in the same field can really coordinate so well with each other. So over to you. Yeah. Dr. Mrs. Kumta, you can start speaking. Again, the connection has been lost.
Yes,
The connection is lost.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we'll just go to the next dignitary. By that time, they will come back. Dr. Poddar, are you there?
Wait 1 minute. I've just admitted again.
Okay.
They're just getting connected.
Okay.
Okay, maybe the next speaker, Prashant.
Yeah. Dr. R.D. Poddar, who is past president of IAP, I think somewhere in 1991, 92, I don't recollect. Dr. Poddar, are you there, sir? Is he there in the? He had joined. I've seen him.
Yeah, he's there. So please unmute. He's there.
Yeah. Dipti, can you make him co-host so he'll be seen in the front panel?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Can
you put on your video if possible?
Yes, I put on. I have put on.
No, we are not able to see you.
Again, I'll put it on. I think video is not coming.
It's okay.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I'll speak.
Yeah, okay, sir.
Meanwhile, I'll keep on starting the video. My contact with Dr. Hathi has been from the time that I became an assistant honorary at the Nair Hospital in 68-70. He came with me as a second assistant honorary to Dr. Tibriwala, and we had worked together for about 3 or 4 years around 68 to 72. And when we both of us were in the same boat facing the same boss, and all the pros and cons working with a not so difficult boss. Thereafter, I came in contact with him when I was the organizing secretary of a very controversial situation in when Mrs. Indira Gandhi died, and we organized it in about 7 weeks' time, the conference at IIT. Dr. Hathi was in charge of the accommodation, and the amount of trouble he took to have everybody properly settled in IIT at a cost of ₹25 per day was phenomenal. Actually, that was the beginning when the Bombay branch was really informally united and we all came together. And thereafter, I was in contact with him all the way for many years, because afterwards he shifted to Cooper Hospital and his entire activity was in the western suburb. So I could meet him only during the IIP meetings and other meetings. While I was very much with the BPNI, since Dr. Anand was initiating the breastfeeding movement from Nair Hospital and Dr. Kumta joined him later, I have been associated with, I have attended also Devlali camp for about 4 or 5 days with Felicity Savage and all that. But I have not been very active in the BPNI, I must admit. I've been busy with a lot of other things which were of greater interest to me at that time. Dr. Hathi was a very, very nice, smiling man. Having a joke in his own name, he was a Hathi surname and Gajendra by name. So the minute anybody introduced him, he would enjoy and explain that he was double Hathi. He was Hathi by his activity and highly, one can say, accommodative and an amicable person. Probably that was his fault, that he would let anybody else go ahead of him, pehle aap style. And that was the reason why he could not really make mark enough in IIP despite working like, he slogged for IIP as a treasurer, then as a secretary, but he could not become president because of this nature of his pehle aap. But I knew him all the time, and the last time he had organized a meeting for me with Dr. Kumta and Mrs. Kumta at the, he came to attend, which was organized by Prashant, and that was the last time I met him. I never thought that we will lose him so soon. I knew his wife when she was initial part, and later on when she was not well. I knew his son was in Navy, in Merchant Navy, but I didn't know much about their family because they were far away. But as a person, I will always remember him as my junior colleague and very, very lively and pleasant person. I'll miss him for a long time in my life. Thank you for listening. Hello.
We are thankful to you, Dr. Poddar, for
Yes.
Coming to this meeting and expressing your feelings. Over to you, Sangeeta.
Now I would request, as Dr. Kumta and Dr. Mrs. Kumta has rejoined, I would request them to express their views.
Can I say
Dr. Kumta?
Yeah.
Switch.
Your video is not on, madam. Take the cursor to the left lower bottom and you can see a video sign. So you can start video from there. You can speak, madam. Don't worry. Don't worry about the video.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, okay, fine. You're visible now. Great. Now you can start speaking. No problem.
Yeah. It is with a heavy heart that I'm saying a few words on behalf of my husband and our family.
Emma.
Can you hear?
Yes.
Okay. We have had a long association with Dr. Harsha and with Dr. Hathi. My husband and Dr. Hathi were the earliest pediatricians in Malad. And they won the love of the community. Dr. Harsha, Dr. Hathi and Dr. Kumta worked together for BPNI. And apart from being an esteemed colleague of my husband, he was also a dear friend of ours. He was with my husband during his heart surgery. He was by his side, along with Dr. Manar Desai and Dr. Bhuj. What we loved best about him was his great sense of humor. On the day before he left us, he spent some time with us. And early the next morning, we got the bad news and we were in total shock. We love you, Dr. Hathi, and you'll continue to live in our hearts forever. Thank you.
Yeah. I still remember the innumerable meetings which we had at Dr. Kumta's residence and Dr. Hathi's residence also. And Mrs. Kumta was always a great hostess. And I cannot count the number of meetings and with the number of times we have gone at their residence. Over to you, Sangeeta.
Thank you, Dr. Kumta and Mrs. Kumta. Now I would request Dr. Rekha Udani to express her feeling.
Good morning, friends. I was really surprised because I had met him on 5th of March for that Lifetime Achievement Award at Ghatkopar. And I was surprised to know that now he is no more. It was really a shocking news. I remember him very well with his humorous nature, you know. Any time of the day, whenever we meet, he makes us laugh like anything. And I remember him, what Dr. Prashant and Dr. Sushma has already said about him. And I really acknowledge him. But at the same time, he was a wonderful person as a human being, loving person and humorous person. Thank you. Om Shanti.
Now we request Dr. Girish Dani, where Dr. Hathi practiced in his maternity home. He was the obstetrician. Dr. Hathi was the neonatologist and pediatrician. Whatever a person preaches, how much it is true can only be understood by the practices he implements back in the maternity home where he works. So I think Dr. Girish Dani had a great contact with him. The morning and evening, both. Dr. Hathi also used to go there for counseling in the maternity home. So I request Dr. Girish Dani about his viewpoint that what efforts Dr. Hathi took, great efforts I'm sure, to implement this successful breastfeeding at Ankur Maternity Home in Kandivali.
Om Shanti. Before I say anything about Dr. Hathi, I must appreciate the organizers of this meeting, because there is no better platform than this to pay tribute to him, because his subject of breastfeeding was so close to his heart. I had the privilege of knowing him right from the Nair days, when I was an undergraduate student and he was a registrar. Then at Cooper, he was assistant honorary and I was a postgraduate student. And then right from the first day of my nursing home, he was looking after all the children, of course, in later years with the help of Dr. Rajesh. When we started the nursing home, those days were not of the breastfeeding. So that means we have passed through the difficult days and then reached to the area of breastfeeding. And he being down to earth and full with humor, I know in some difficult people where it was difficult to convince the mother, he would very laughingly say, that, do you see Dr. Hathi here? Why is he like this? Because my mother fed me for 5 years. And he was so full of humor that even at this meeting, I can't resist myself to quote, when he started putting on the wig, the first time when he went to his consulting room, some patients who would come for follow-up to him, they would be surprised to see a younger doctor sitting across. So he would remove the wig and tell them, I am not junior Hathi, I am senior Hathi only. He really worked very hard for the breastfeeding, but without carrying the burden of a big program he's carrying on. he so nicely and quietly made everyone understand what is the importance of it. And we have seen the changes over the years when from the non-breastfeeding days when we changed to the breastfeeding days. In fact, I would say I have seen the biggest revolution, a cold revolution done by the pediatricians who, because of the breastfeeding movement, went to the stage of even pharmaceutical companies stopping their milk products. And I think that was a big achievement. When we started the breastfeeding, he was the one who was looking after everything, and then Dr. Mrs. Hathi joined. And in fact, he was so particular, and with the help of Rajesh, that today, in last 1 year, when I have been practicing at different institutions, I feel the breastfeeding practices are not as good as they were when Dr. Hathi and Dr. Rajesh were looking after at Ankur. I am sure, Dr. Hathi, you will live on for many, many years in the hearts of parents of all the children you have treated. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Dr. Dhani. Now I would like to request Dr. Vasant Kulkarni and Dr. Vidya Kulkarni, senior pediatrician and Professor, Cooper Hospital. Dr. Vasant Kulkarni was honorary at Cooper Hospital. I request Dr. Mr. and Mrs. Kulkarni.
Please unmute, Prashant. Please unmute.
Sangeeta, I think we can move ahead because I think both of them are not there.
Yeah. So now I would like to request Dr. Charu Surya, madam. Dr. Charu Surya, very senior pediatrician and HOD Pediatrics, Bhagwati Hospital, and worked very closely with Dr. Hathi. Dr. Charu, madam. Madam, unmute, please.
Hey, Dr. Kumta.
No, madam.
You can hear now?
Yes.
Yeah, Om Shanti, good morning. Thanks for inviting me, Prashant. It was a very nice gesture. Now, I knew Dr. Hathi in 1994 or 95, I don't remember exactly the year, when Dr. Kumta forced me to attend the breastfeeding meeting in Satabdi Hospital. I'm thankful to him. I had come from Canada recently, and he told me, you must come to Satabdi. And he gave me topic also to speak. And it was really, I'm thankful, and I enjoyed so much. I joined BPNI from that day. Now, Dr. Hathi, I came in contact with the Devlali and all this meeting. He was a jolly good fellow. And to approach him, it was very easy to work with him. Always he used to laugh, smile, full of humorous. And it was like a small family that time. He was one of the founder member of BPNI with Dr. Kumta and Dr. Anand. And thanks to Prashant. Prashant was really working very hard. Of course, now also he's working very hard that day to organize all meetings, symposium, and I really enjoyed. Thank you very much, Prashant. Om Shanti.
Now I request Dr. Thank you, Dr. Charu Madam. Now I request Dr. Vasant Khata, who is our founder president of BPNI Maharashtra, to express his feelings. Right from the establishment of BPNI Maharashtra from 1993 onwards, till the time almost 2003-04, Dr. Khata worked very hard, and he was in constant touch with Dr. Kumta and Dr. Hathi. So he knows their contribution very much in those initial days when the BPNI Maharashtra got formed. So over to you, Dr. Khata.
Thank you very much, Prashant, for your introduction. Let me tell one thing to you. Prashant, you have done a wonderful job. Actually, expect the same thing should be done. And BPNI is a great force and a great achievement BPNI has done because of Dr. Gajendra Hathi. Dr. Hathi is a wonderful person. He's a person always having smiling face. He used to be always amid the people. He used to crack a joke. He used to make the most of the patient happy and relieve their pains by his joke and by treatment, of course. My first introduction with him was in IIT when the first national conference held by IIP Mumbai. We toiled a lot day and night for making this successful, the first conference at IIT. We were there for 2 to 3 years continuously, and I was in very much contact with him. Even though I was knowing that he is one of the good pediatricians along with the Dr. Kumta at Malad. But then we realize when we meet together, stay together, we understand the people, how they are. He has taken the BPN at high level. I owe to, when I was told by Dr. Kumta that cut out, we have to go to Diwali and on breastfeeding, there's a 7 days conference. Actually, I was surprised. I said, breastfeeding in 7 days. But then we realized we're knowing nothing about the breastfeeding. The great contribution done by the Dr. Hathi is really good. He used to show the demonstration and he was so much involved regarding his detailed involvement in BPNI has been already told by Dr. Prashant Gangal. Prashant Gangal has done a great job. He could collect all the photographs of him and we remember his all days of Dr. Hathi. I sincerely, I'm happy to know that that Hathi has done such a good work, and I was shocked to know that he has suddenly passed away. Om Shanti.
Nice of you, Dr. Katao, to have come to this particular meeting. One more remembrance of Dr. Hathi I have is that before 2003, means when Felicity Savage came and took us a detailed workshop on counseling, before 2003, no faculty member in BPNI Maharashtra ever dared to take a lecture on counseling. We used to run away if somebody suggested that you take a lecture on counseling. And Dr. Hathi was the only one who was interested with that particular task, and he used to take that session very well. It was only after 2003, after training from Felicity Savage, that we could overcome our fears of taking the counseling workshop. And to the extent that I have seen people getting nauseated when they were told that you have to take a counseling lecture. So you can understand the importance of his contribution to that particular lecture. Now, is Dr. Sandeep Bawdekar in the meeting in case he wants to speak? Did you see him in the list?
No, sir.
No, okay, fine. Now I request Dr. Shailesh Gupta, who was Secretary of BPNI Maharashtra. I think Shailesh from 2000 to 1999 to 2003 or 4, right, Shailesh? Dr. Shailesh, can you unmute yourself? Shailesh, are you there?
Sir, I think
he was there right now. Right now he's not
there,
on.
but right now he's not there on the deck.
Okay, no problem. We'll come back.
No,
I'm here.
He's there.
Shailesh, so you are as secretary in the initial years between 1999 to 2003. So you have seen Dr. Hathi working very closely with BPNI Maharashtra. So I would request you to express your thoughts about him.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you, Prashant and BPNI for organizing this meeting, because this connects people that are sitting far away and come together for a memorial to one of our very beloved teachers. So I was very saddened and shocked to see that message in my mobile phone about the sad demise of Dr. Hathi. I was shocked. I spoke with my wife and I was very quiet for 2 days. I didn't know how to react. Rather than talk about Dr. Hathi's work, which all of us have heard from your presentation and from Dr. Poddar's and Dr. Katao's memorials, I would like to focus my attention on the person that Dr. Hathi was. So I first, long ago, I did a residency post in Cooper Hospital where he was the head of the department. And that's when I got to work with him. And we were residents from middle-class families trying to come up in life. And Dr. Hathi would drive in his new Maruti Omni van. And we were all very impressed with that. It looked huge back then. And we would say, wow, every time he drove in. And he was a very affable, very jocular human being. He was wonderful on our rounds. He never, ever reprimanded a resident or a registrar, ever. He was always nice about the little mistakes that we would make. And we used to have these side clinics in the side room where the nurses sat, and he and Dr. Patnikar would listen to our presentations. And I got a feedback from another resident or maybe a nurse that on his way out after the rounds, he was mentioning to someone about me, saying that he's one of the best residents I have seen. Though I did not have a very close contact with him, I'm a little introvert. I don't go out and open to people. But when we worked together in BPNI, and when we were in Devlali, that's when I saw how wonderfully he coordinated with Dr. Kumta and Dr. Arkyanan to give us visual presentations of the various breastfeeding positions, the problems with breastfeeding, how to solve them. And it was all very wonderful. And I use all of these techniques in my personal private practice now. And over the years, we traveled to Bhuj and on invitation from the doctors there to do a lactation management workshop. And again, it was so wonderful. He was so jocular. He would make our evenings so pleasant and so nice. And when you have a senior amongst yourselves who's 18, 20 years older than you, who is sitting with you as a friend, all the atmosphere becomes so surreal. I cannot forget that. And we've met during IIP meetings. When he was the Secretary General of IIP, I was the President of IIP Mumbai. At that point, I got together with Dr. Kumta and on a project that was accorded to BPNI Maharashtra from Central BPNI, which was on pollutants in breast milk and their impact on breastfeeding. Prashant actually told me that, Sailesh, would you work with Dr. Kumta on this? And I was new to BPNI. So I went, Dr. Kumta, we sat down, we thrashed out, we made a beautiful article. And it was Dr. Hathi then who offered to publish that article, which ran into 10 or 12 pages from Central IIP funds. And this went off to every pediatrician in the country. I think that was a great gesture because Central IIP members generally do not appreciate a focus on any one subject. But he did it. That required courage, that required a will, that required a commitment to a cause. And Dr. Hathi was definitely committed to breastfeeding. So I have wonderful personal memories of Dr. Hathi as an individual, as a father, as a husband. I've seen how loving he was always, how caring he was to Dr. Harsha. And post his first heart surgery, I know that he used to walk from his home right up to Marve Beach to effect weight loss, and his sons would drive in the van behind him to keep a watch on him. I thought that was a wonderful family picture. There was so much love, there was so much attachment there. And my heart goes out to his children. I would say we've lost a teacher. We've lost a father figure. And we've lost a good academician and a wonderful promoter of breastfeeding. He will always remain in our hearts, as Mrs. Kumta said. And we will always keep him in our loving memories. Thank you, Prashant.
Shailesh, thanks for highlighting that personal side of Dr. Hathi. In fact, the first time I went to Cooper Hospital as an intern, we had 3 months post over there. I walked into Dr. Hathi's cabin, introducing myself as a new intern. And he said, "Are you a Maharashtrian? Then tell me what is Haivadan." And that time I was not so much into mythology and history. And I got very perplexed. A person who is not Maharashtrian asking me about something, and I'm not able to explain to him the meaning of that particular word. So that memory got etched into my mind. And I always wondered, for both Dr. Kumta and Dr. Hathi, people practicing in the northwest suburbs of Mumbai, away from the IIP office, almost a two hours drive in traffic, even that time also, and with those old type of cars, and how they must be managing their consulting, how they must be managing their posts at Cooper and KM Hospital,
Yes.
plus IIP work, plus their family, and with pediatrician, always the pressure to practice one time. So it's a great job, and it's a great courage for them to have worked out into so many fields. Sangeeta,
Definitely.
over to you.
Unmute, Sangeeta.
Okay, now you're unmuted.
Thank you, Dr. Shailesh. Now I would like to request Dr. Sanjay Prabhu to express his feeling. Dr. Sanjay Prabhu, very senior pediatrician and Secretary BPNI Maharashtra. And during their founder period, Dr. Gangal, Dr. Prabhu, Dr. Hathi, Dr. Kumta, Dr. Shailesh Gupta, Dr. Tata, Dr. Charu Madam, they were a team and they performed very well, and even now they are. I request Dr. Prabhu to express his
You
feelings.
enter Bluetooth mode. Waiting for connection.
Hello, you can hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Sanjay, please unmute.
A lot has been said about Dr. Hathi. I would just add a few words more. Dr. Hathi was, as everybody has expressed his views, that was a very jovial person and used to be and was of great help to me when I was a secretary, because his administrative experience in working with IAP was tremendous. And as Prashant has already said, that I used to wonder that how he used to go to Kailash Darshan, go to Cooper and come back to Malad and also do his practice at the same time. So it really required a lot of efforts, which I think our generation will not be able to do at this time. About the IIP, I would like to bring out one more thing about Sir, is that when they had the IIT conference, they also brought out a resolution from the Indian Academy of Pediatrics to not take a help from any companies which manufacture formulas or baby foods. So that was it was a landmark decision at that time, and which is still being followed by the Indian Academy of Pediatrics. And he has been the founder member of Mumbai branch of the IIP, and I think one of the best serving secretary, and before that the treasurer of the Indian Academy of Pediatrics when the head office was there at the Grant Road office. Another thing I would remember about Sir is his ability to take any lecture during breastfeeding at any given time. Prashant has already talked to you about his readiness to take counseling lectures. Initially, we used to have that 18-hour course where the counseling was discussed not in as much great detail as we discuss it now. And we were also not very clear how to take those lectures. But Sir was always ready, and any demonstration is needed, any breastfeeding position is to be shown. Sir was the first person to always be ready to demonstrate that. So with this, we always will remember Dr. Hathi, who along with Dr. Kumta have been the foundation of Maharashtra BPNI, and we have been carrying out their legacy, and we always will seek their blessings in the future to keep this breastfeeding culture going on. Thank you.
I must mention over here that the jovial part of Dr. Hathi's nature has been talked often, but that does not mean the seriousness of the lecture was hampered any time. The content of his talk, his presentation was flawless. So that was joined by additional thing of jokes which were planted, anecdotes. So that was without affecting the quality and the quantity of the scientific content. Now, one more person has expressed a desire to speak. Dr. Karthik Bhagat. Karthik, are you there? Yeah. Dr. Karthik has been with all of us from the starting of the breastfeeding movement, especially Mother Support Group, and his hospital has served as a laboratory for various experiments which we carried out, including breast crawl. So over to you, Karthik, for unveiling few more aspects of Dr. Hathi's nature.
Thank you, Prashant. Now, when we started the hospital, we were sailing in an uncharted sea because we never knew what practice was like. We finished our residency and started the hospital. The only pediatrician I knew was Prashant because he's Rachna's batchmate. And it was Prashant who introduced us to Dr. Hathi and Dr. Kumta. Now, there are Dr. Hathi and Kumta go hand in hand because when we were introduced to them through the breastfeeding movement, we've been a witness to the movement because of the ringmaster Prashant that we have as a friend. And when we talk about Dr. Hathi, Dr. Kumta also stays in the picture. Dr. Kumta was serious and senior, but Dr. Hathi never made it appear that he was senior, but he was humorous. And because of his nature, he would connect well with everybody. He would tell me that, you are a different species because you are with pediatricians. Tu vichitra che, and tu pediatrician is sate base. And the obstetricians also, started thinking of us as pediatricians. Now, I would, there are two things which I loved about Dr. Hathi and of course, Dr. Kumta. So when we started practice, we realized that people are different and the kind of practice is different. People practice not what they had learned, but it was different. But Dr. Kumta and Dr. Hathi were there to at least see to it that all the pediatricians practiced in a certain manner. The way they brought the pediatricians together and conducted the ongoing monthly meetings and and the consistency and improvement in the standard of service is something which was unbelievable. And what they've done, we've never been able to do with the obstetricians. So I would use a simile. I don't recollect the Japanese word for it, but Dr. Hathi, especially, and Dr. Kumta are the golden or the molten gold. They say that if an artifact is broken, the only way to repair it is with molten gold. And they were the molten gold, who repaired or who brought all the pieces together. So I think this is how I see Dr. Hathi, who have brought everybody together, kept everybody together, saw to it that everybody progressed at the same time without losing academics. This is how I recollect Dr. Hathi. Thanks, Prashant.
Yeah. We have been talking about Dr. Hathi for last 1 hour, but we should not forget the contribution to breastfeeding movement made by Dr. Harsha Hathi also. She was our mother support who led our first batch, working in Ankur Hospital and Dr. Hathi's clinic, and tirelessly going from college to college for breastfeeding advocacy. So Dr. Harsha Hathi, we still recollect your involvement with us, and especially with Sangeeta Vakharia, you used to go to different hospitals and you were there anytime. And the way you are used to conduct the lecture, we still remember that it was a completely different pattern and completely different way in which you would connect to the mothers. Anybody else would like to speak? Then the forum is open for about 5 minutes because almost 1 hour now. So anybody wanting to speak can just unmute and speak for a short while.
I think Harshaben is the proper complementary part of Dr. Hathi, and you must not forget that. You just talk about the humorous and the jocular nature of Dr. Hathi, and Harshaben is not far behind. They would complement each other every time you would be with them.
Yes. Anybody who wishes to speak can unmute and speak. We have 5 minutes more. Maulik, would you like to express your feelings from the other side we are from this side. You're on the other side of the stage, his involvement and his love for breastfeeding and how it affected. I'm sure when a person gets involved in the project or meeting, the family does suffer in some other way because that the movement takes away his time. And at some point of time, you also must have had that feeling. So how that movement affected you and his time for your care and family involvement.
Thank you very much, Dr. Prashant. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, of course.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone, one of you, BPNI and everybody, seniors, all seniors here for we are honored as a family that you all are paying such a tribute to Dr. Hathi, that is my dad. And yes, we have been seeing him working for IAP, for BPNI, all our lives. I mean, from my school days, we have seen him involved in various activities. In fact, there were times we have been a part of the activity as well as a family. Sometimes we go with him for some projects or something, and then, we get involved and we see that how much commitment, how much dedication he had towards his profession and towards his activities, whichever he would venture into. So, yeah, and as you all mentioned, I mean, we have the same for him, a very jovial person in the family. No one in the family would think that he is, and we still feel that he's around. We still feel that, my wife always says that I still feel that he's sitting in the other room and we are sitting in another room. So we still feel the vibrations, his jokes, his jovial nature has kept our family so lively, not even the immediate family, but the extended family as well. And we miss him so much. The reason is that he was the force behind the family, the entire family, and even the extended family, my masis, my buas, everybody, their children, the third and the fourth generation also miss him so much. So yeah, that was him. And we will always try to be in touch with every one of you so that we feel that he is around and we are not alone. So thank you very much, everybody, and over to Dr. Prashant.
Manisha, you would like to say a few words? Manisha is Maulik's wife.
Thank you so much, all of you. Really honored. Dr. Hathi, I'm with this family since 25 years. And I lost my father after my marriage just. And Dr. Hathi is just beside me, is my father. And missing him a lot. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Dr. Prashant.
Yeah. Now, we are almost at the end of the meeting, but anybody else who wants to express what he feels about Dr. Hathi, we are still open for 5 minutes and then we'll close.
In 2003, I had an opportunity to be with him in Devrali, when Dr. Felicity Savage King was there. And Dr. Hathi was such a nice, silent personality, fatherly personality, and a very humorous and very affectionate person, and really working for the cause. We could see his passion while demonstrating the positions and everything. So great personality, and Om Shanti.
One very good thing. Thank you, Shama. One more good comment in the chat box. Dr. Kamakshi Bhatte has written that Dr. Hathi, in my mind, broke all the gender barriers in breastfeeding. He was so gentle with doll babies and most comfortable in breastfeeding position. I am sure that, let me take it further. I'm sure that wherever he is, he's happy to see BPNI Maharashtra's commitment to work with the community. Okay. Can I presume that everybody is, nobody is right now would be expressing, then I can close, because once we close, if you are wanting to talk, then you can talk now.
सर वर्ड्स नहीं है सर को ट्रिब्यूट देने के लिए, बट आई वाज डिलीवर्ड बिफोर 32 इयर्स एट अंकुर हॉस्पिटल, और मेरी ब्रेस्ट फीडिंग जर्नी डॉक्टर हाथी के साथ शुरू हुई थी, और इट वाज ग्रेट हेल्प टू मी.
Ila speaking, right? Ila, she is the treasurer of BPNI Maharashtra. Yeah, continue, Ila Ben.
सर ट्रिब्यूट के लिए वर्ड्स नहीं है, बट मुझे मेरी 32 इयर्स बिफोर की जर्नी याद रही कि ये सब मोमेंट स्टार्ट होने से पहले भी सर इसी फील्ड में काम कर रहे थे. व्हेन आई डिलीवर्ड एट अंकुर हॉस्पिटल बिफोर 32 इयर्स, सर हेल्प मी टू ब्रेस्ट फीड माय बेबी. आई एम ऑलवेज थैंकफुल टू डॉक्टर हाथी, जो उन्होंने बाद में भी फील्ड मदर सपोर्ट ग्रुप ज्वाइन करने के बाद भी जो उन्होंने ट्रेनिंग दी है हम लोगों को. ऑलवेज थैंकफुल टू हिम.
Okay. We are almost at the end of the meeting, so I hand over the mic to Sangeeta to come to conclusion.
Thank you. I'm Shanti. I would like to thank, after hearing all this, actually one thought came into my mind. Marave pari kirti rupi virave, that is a Marathi saying we say. After hearing to all the senior pediatricians and how a person can dedicate his life and work for a single motive for decades together, and he can be an inspiration for so many his life, and so it's a truly inspiration. I would like to thank all the senior pediatricians, and I would like I express my gratitude to all the senior pediatricians who spoke about Dr. Hathi, and our may I request God to give courage to Dr. Hathi's family to bear his loss. Om Shanti.
Okay. So we continue Dr. Hathi's legacy, and with that particular oath, we come to a close.